John Bolton understands the Middle East better than just about anybody else, former ambassador to the UN and former national security advisor. Good to see you, sir. News a couple of hours ago that if the Israelis go into Rafah, Joe Biden will withhold the precision-guided bombs and artillery shells from the Israeli military. I'm trying to figure out if he understands how the Israelis view something like that, or maybe he just doesn't care because he so badly needs to placate the campus protesters and others.
Well, look, I think this is a catastrophic decision by the United States on many, many levels. In the Middle East itself, it is literally pro-Hamas. It is the implementation of the terrorist veto. The Hamas being so brutal to its own fellow Gazan residents, to use them as human shields to avoid being eliminated by Israel, that Hamas is now surviving because the United States will not permit Israel to have the weapons it needs to finish Hamas off. This is not only disastrous in the context of how to eliminate one of the worst terrorist groups in the world, but the signal it sends to Xi Jinping, to Vladimir Putin, to the Ayatollah Khamenei, to Kim Jong-un, among others, about how weak Joe Biden and his team are, how domestic political pressure can move them around, and how even what generations of American politicians have said is the critical U.S. national security interest in the safety and security of Israel, for Joe Biden doesn't mean a thing anymore.
I'm glad you brought up Vladimir Putin, because there is a huge divide now between how Joe Biden talks about our long time ally Israel and how he talks about Ukraine. So I think many people were surprised by how far President Biden went in threatening, blackmailing, whatever word you want to use, Israel. His words are important. We're going to play them.
And I made it clear that if they go into Rafah, they haven't gone into Rafah yet. If they go into Rafah, I'm not supplying the weapons that have been used historically to deal with Rafah, to deal with the cities, to deal with that problem. We're going to continue to make sure Israel is secure in terms of Iron Dome and their ability to respond to attacks like came out of the Middle East recently. But it's just wrong. We're not going to supply the weapons and the artillery shells used that have been used.
Artillery shells as well.
Yeah, artillery shells.
Even Aaron Burnett was surprised by that, and there's a few things to break down in there. But what do you make of this enormous change in how Israel gets treated, almost like an insolent child, and then Ukraine gets literally whatever it wants?
Well, I think it's open to question for Ukraine, and I would say the entire NATO alliance, exactly how firm Joe Biden's commitment is to defending Ukraine or solidarity with NATO. When the United States leaves one of its 2 or 3 closest allies in the world in the lurch, what do you say in Ukraine if we really get in trouble? Are they going to sacrifice, their efforts to come and help us? I'm not at all sure it's going to happen. What strikes me about this decision by Biden, among other things, is just how Trumpian it is. It is classic Donald Trump. Forget American national security interest. Forget the security of our closest allies. What benefits me politically? That's the definition of Donald Trump. That is what Joe Biden is doing here. He is worried about what the progressive wing of the Democratic Party is going to do in November because of the war in the Middle East, and he's decided basically to cut Israel loose.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.